All right, and welcome back to another episode of Barbershop Talk Like This. And I am your host, Trey the Barber.
And it's your boy, Dicethebarber.
And today in the building, we got my man, Lawrence Dunbar. What's
Hello,
up, man?
everyone.
Tell the people about yourself.
Oh, man, this is first and foremost, it's a pleasure to be here. I just want to give credit where credit is due. Give a shout out to Dice. Give a shout out to Trey just for inviting me to come out today. But my name is Lawrence Dunbar, as he said, Lawrence Dunbar II. I'm a USC graduate student, and I'm an ambassador of mental health.
All right, and we're going to get into that in a minute. Dice, who we got over here to the right?
And we got Rachelle Brown over here. So tell them a little bit about yourself.
Hey, my name is Rachelle, and I am the creative director of Royal Reef, and it's an online e-commerce store, but I also do a lifestyle blog, and coincidentally, this month's topic was mental health.
All right. Well, one of the things I do want to say, because somebody reached out to me and they said,
we got to take a shot.
Listen, I'm about to get into that. Somebody reached out to me and they said, you know what? They said, I appreciate y'all taking a shot before y'all show. They say, but, you know, y'all do y'all show on Sunday morning, so why don't y'all give a little thank you to the Lord, you know what I'm saying, just for waking us up, and you know what I'm saying, allowing us to be here today, and you know what I'm saying, just to do what we do and even be a part of this show. So,
Amen.
you know, I want to say thank you, Lord. And now we can continue with the shot. So, as y'all know, we start our show off with a shot. You know, we know y'all don't drink, so we got them shooting water. Me and Dice, we're going to take the shots for them. So, salute.
All right.
Salute to everybody. To a good show.
Good morning. And it's hot in LA, so the water is necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Man,
please stay hydrated.
It has been hotter than the devil's toenails these past couple days, I'm telling you.
And hotter than a camel's ass, nigga. Listen, but today's topic is going to be mental health issues. So we brought two of the two people in here who really got some knowledge on mental health right now. And so if you want, we could start off with you, Lawrence. What do you how do you feel about mental health? You know, like what's some of the things that you focus on in that subject?
Well, first and foremost, like what I think about like mental health is that it's just a huge stigma, and
you could chime in anytime.
Okay.
and it's just a huge stigma, especially, you know, within, I guess, quote unquote, minority communities where many people aren't educated about the resources that's out there to be able to help them get through the day. And so one of the things that I focus on is like educating like in therapy in regards to like trauma, depression, and things of that nature too, because studies suggest that at least 60% of the country is depressed at some point in time.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, me personally, I ain't gonna lie. Today, I didn't even want to talk about mental health issues.
Why though?
I mean, because I'm a person. I feel like, yo, get on your knees, pray about it, and you know, keep moving forward. Like,
That's not how it
asked me a
goes.
question, and I understand that, but like, because I mean, I've been through some depression before too, and really, the only thing I did was just prayed and I just kept going. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a family, and I can't let my depression affect what's going on in my everyday life, and I have to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Life is too short
Well, there's
to be worried
different
about.
levels. There's clinical depression, and that is more a chemical imbalance.
I get
within
that.
you.
I get
so you
that.
can't pray that away.
I mean, I get that too. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we got a lot of mental people that be in front of our shop with some serious mental issues. Some of the mental issues, I think, probably for me, because some of it I understand is, you know, it's just something that happens. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen people actually go crazy. Some of it I also believe is self-inflicted. Drugs, alcohol, you know what I'm saying? Things of these natures. So, you know, I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Well, I'm glad you said that in terms of like people just getting down and pray, because if you don't deal with an issue, it don't mean it goes away. And a lot of people don't even know, if you grow up in poverty, that's traumatizing. Mm-hmm. And people try to ignore these things, like people been molested, a lot of people coming forth, and they dealing with a lot of issues that they just want to ignore, and they just want to say they're going to pray it away, but then it just festers and then it just gets worse. And they dealing with chemical imbalances that sometimes medication is the remedy for the problems that they're dealing with. And if they don't deal with it, then what happens, you have mass shootings and things of that nature too. And
yeah.
See, I mean, like all these mass shootings, man, this shit is some copycat shit. Everybody wants the attention. Everybody's going, you know what I'm saying? Because before Columbine, we didn't have mass shootings. People wasn't just walking into places.
There were. It just wasn't as frequent as it is now. But there were.
But rarely.
I think the largest one that ever happened was way before Columbine. I don't have the specific dates, but it is there. It was always there.
For me, since Columbine, it just seemed like it's more frequent. The school shootings. I mean, people want to run up in malls.
So social media has influence on that, the increase of that.
Of course.
So that's why if you date, it goes pre-Columbine, because that's when social media and all those things picked up.
Yeah. So what were you about to say when he was talking about getting down and praying and just kind of like trying to like get it to go away type?
Well, even on his aspect where he was stating Lawrence,
yes,
he was stating about that, being raped or molested and things like that fester. I have a cousin who actually she was diagnosed with schizophrenia at an early age. Normally, mental illness is, they are diagnosed in your early 20s. That's when they come about college age. But for her, the traumatization of being molested by a distant family member is what brought hers on. And it was something that was embarrassing to me almost. I very clearly remember in 7th grade someone coming up to me saying, "Hey, I saw your cousin Leah doing cartwheels in the middle of the street naked, like no panties on, anything."
Yeah.
And instead of going home and telling my family members, I kept it to myself because it was just something that we didn't talk about. So I didn't even feel comfortable enough to tell them, because then they probably would have went to go get her or find her wherever she was at to help her. But I just let it slide. So it's definitely something that is not talked about within the Black community, and it's really sad.
Do you feel like there's a lot more mental health issues in Black communities than like other communities and stuff like that?
No, I think it's big in a lot of minority communities. I think one of the other problems is the fact that there's not a lot of minorities working in the mental health field. Mm-hmm. I think that would help bring down some of the stigma as well. When you have people that are like you, that look like you, helping you, it'll make you more comfortable to go seek it. But right now, there's a lot of stereotype and prejudice against mental health, so that keeps people from going.
Yeah, they say 54 million Americans suffer from some form of mental disorder in a given year. Like, that's a high number. Like,
I'm crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a little off.
This motherfucker has a mental
I guess I'm a part of that 54 million. I'm a little off. I ain't gonna lie. Anybody know me, they know I'm a little off. But it's okay. You know what I'm saying?
I may have a mental illness when I drink.
Dice, no. You have a mental illness every day. Dice has, you need to get him some help. Like, can we help Dice?
But I just want to put this out there too, right? Because when people think of therapy, it's really not a cool factor to that. Like, I personally have a therapist, and I talk to my therapist about life, because sometimes you got to go outside of your circle of friends with people who not going to pass judgment, and you can brainstorm. Like, therapy is much more than just someone just with a clipboard and things of that nature, because it's a misconception of what therapy is. And that's the reason why I'm in the field, because one, to be relatable and to be able to, for people to see and change the narrative of what they think therapy is. Like, I dress down when I'm dealing with clients and things like that too, because it's just important. More people need to help. Like, I was just reading an article recently, and it was just talking about at least 75% of the people who was incarcerated had mental health issues that are not being dealt with.
Now, do you think they end up having like more mental health issues because they are incarcerated?
Well, I think there was mental health issues going back to what we're talking about right now. I think it stems from some when they were kids and they just didn't deal with it, because especially in communities of color, it's more so whether you come from a religious family, we're going to pray ourselves through, or you raised up like, just be tough and don't worry about that, and people ignore it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, especially, that young, a parent might be like, oh, ain't nothing wrong with him. He just acting stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they be like, he'll get over that shit.
I believe it can be helpful for some people. I remember myself and my wife, we were seeing a marriage counselor, and, he was a therapist. And so I would see him individually by myself as well. So, and I'm going to tell you what I got out of it was, I'm just telling a stranger my personal business, and the only thing I kept getting back from him was information that I already knew. And that was just for me personally. I mean, you know, because I'm not stupid. So, you know what I'm saying? I took some psychology classes in college and this, that, and the other. So I just felt like, bro, I mean, now.
Well, their job is to talk you through it. There's a difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist. They all vary. So you're seeing a counselor, his job is to counsel you and talk you through it, not to give you ideas or tell you what to think or what to do.
When I was seeing him personally, it was, you know, that was supposed to be the therapy side, you know, just for myself. And like I said, you know, when we were talking, I just felt like I'm telling this stranger all of my business, and the only thing this nigga's telling me is shit I already know. Like, okay, like what are we getting out of this here? Like, I can help just me personally, I just felt like after talking to him, I felt like, bro, I'm doing this already by myself. Everything that you're telling me, I'm telling myself already. So
sometimes they do that so that you can hear yourself saying it, so you could kind of, you know, see if you can fix it. Because when you actually hear yourself saying it, certain things instead of thinking it and shit, like you really start to think about it and be like, all right, well maybe I need to.
And maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe you can talk to it like, maybe that was wrong.
Honestly, for me personally, I was sitting there like, damn, I wish my wife could hear this shit because this is exactly what I be telling her. So, you know, that's how I felt at that particular time. So I don't know.
What Trey, is it safe to say that all barbers are not great barbers?
Absolutely.
It's the same thing with when it comes to therapists, that sometimes you have to fire the therapist that you go see because it might not be a custom fit.
It might not be helpful.
He did his job because me and my wife came out healthier on the other side. So I just said, for me personally, I just felt like he was telling me information that I already knew.
Well, see, a lot of that is the problem too, because sometimes when people go to therapy, again, the frame of mind that they have is that someone's going to give them advice and tell them what to do. And that's not what therapy is. Therapy is about empowerment. It's about extracting what's already in you and guiding you in a direction just to clear your path. However, but you do the work, though. I'm just there to assist you.
Exactly.
I feel you. I mean, you know, I don't know.
I mean, you got.
Because I don't want to sound ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Because I do understand. I am sympathetic to people who are really suffering from shit like this. But it's just like for me, so much nowadays, everybody's just saying, oh, you're depressed. Oh, you're depressed. Oh, you're depressed. No, some people just need to, you know, shake, you know, I understand when you were seriously dealing with issues like what you were talking about, molestation and things like that. But if you just ain't got shit going right in your life and you just depressed about where you are and your life ain't where it's supposed to be, and it sends you, because I've seen people go into deep depressions because of things like this. And it's like, yo, fuck all that shit. Get up off your ass and make the shit happen for you. You know what I mean?
That's where the chemical part is. Some people can't just get themselves out of it. Like mentally, they can't. It's a mental battle in their minds. Even for myself, maybe about a year ago, I was struggling with super bad anxiety. And it had to do with my mom being diagnosed with cancer for the third time. I was at a job that I sincerely hated. And, you know, just me being a single mother going through all those things. So I developed anxiety. And it was something that I could tell myself, I can pray, I would be able to just lay there and try to relax and meditate. And it did not work. I had to go to seek therapy. And I wasn't beyond therapy. I was actually prescribed pills. And it balanced me out emotionally. If it was 6 months ago and we're talking right now, I would have busted into tears. It was horrible. That's how bad it was. And then with the medication, and I took half of what they asked me to take because I didn't want to be addicted. And it slowly mellowed me out. And then I took it for about 6 to 8 months, and then it weaned me out. And so now I'm totally able to focus. Nothing bothers me as much. I'm able to talk through things. But it was something where I needed help.
Now, go ahead.
And I was going to say to that, too, is that, one thing I just want to say to kind of normalize the situation is that it's nothing wrong with therapy. And there's different forms of therapy as well, too. It's not like you just sitting down. Because when I meet with clients, I just have discussions with them, you know, rather than them coming in there thinking that somebody's passing judgment. There's art therapy. There's people go through meditation, like mindfulness.
There's group therapy.
You know, there's so many different options to explore. But the key is that there's help out here for people to be able to get. And by people ignoring it, they're doing themselves a disharm, because there's even like veterans who went to war. Some of them, they come back. And they dealing with extreme mental health issues. Because you can't see always what mental health looks like, because people look normal. Some of your favorite rapper go see therapy.
Yeah.
Kanye need therapy like a motherfucker.
Absolutely. and people laugh about it, but when he was on TMZ, I was so heartbroken for him because all that was going on. And what's the guy's name? Van?
Right.
Yeah.
And when him and Van were going back and forth, and at the end when he was like, "Can I give you a hug?" It was just like him screaming out for
help.
Human, like contact, human touch. He wants help. And it was very disappointing that people laugh.
I definitely think Kanye has something going on with him. And for me personally, I think a lot of that happened after his mom passed. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely,
like
I agree with that.
certain things like, you know, somebody passing that's real close to you couldn't actually make you snap and go into some shit. And you don't even know it. And you got so many different yes men around you that nobody is actually looking to seek help, because if you try to tell him that, yeah, you need help, then next thing you know, you're X'd out of his camp.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, I can agree with that. I remember when my grandmother passed away, my mother went into a really deep depression for like years and years and years. And I mean, as a kid, you know, she was just mama to me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't pay no attention to it. But as I got older and her and I started to discuss it and we talked about it, I was like, okay, yeah, I do kind of see that shit. So, I mean, I get it. I get it.
Well, again, I'm not here to project my thoughts on the people. It's just to let people know that there's resources. Just like you said, that when close ones die, people don't grieve. And it's just sometimes people told, like, just toughen up. Don't cry. Real men don't cry and things like that, too. So they harboring.
No, I always suggest cry it out. Like, you know, I'm never against crying, man and no, man. I personally don't cry a lot, but, you know, if I feel the need to cry, I'm going to cry. You know what I'm saying? Because you do got to get that out your system. You know what I'm saying? It helps. It helps.
Yeah. So to add what you had said about poverty earlier, do you think, you know, because certain people just can't get out, you know, they're not blessed with certain things to help them get out of certain, you know, bad situations or where they're growing up at and stuff like that. So do you think a lot of people in poverty are more health issue, you know, applicants? I guess you would say.
It's a fact. It's not even. It's a fact, because when you're dealing with low socioeconomic environments, when you're dealing with low socioeconomic environments, there's food deserts that people are dealing with too. So they don't have access to the resources to get healthy options like certain communities may have. And a lot of people don't go to seek help to be able to work through those situations. One, because they think of cost and they saying, I can't afford that. However, your insurance can be used if you have Medi-Cal, Medicaid, whatever you have.
Some people might not even have that though.
And there's sliding fee scales too. Like there's always, even places who offer free services. But the biggest issue that I've seen, or one of the contributing factors, is just the fact that people think I gotta be crazy in order to go to a therapist.
Yeah. And
you don't.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Some people can't even see it. You know what I mean? Like somebody really needs to be like, yo, like you need some fucking help.
Okay, so I got a question. Now, what about some of these like mental hospitals? You know what I'm saying? Where they're pumping these people full of medication, and when the money runs out on them, boom, they release them out into the streets, because we got a bunch of them right in North Hollywood walking around in front of our shop. And it's like the hospital puts them on the bus. The Greyhounds is right down the street from the shop. And every week we getting a new wave of people coming from these hospitals. Like, so what do you think about that? Like when people are just basically using these people for their money, you know what I'm saying? You use them to get rich, you putting them on these medications.
Overly medicating.
Right, overly medicating them, putting their situations, their mental state in a worse situation than what it was when they came to you.
They kind of just like making them.
And now you just release them out into the streets.
They kind of just high them out. They're like, oh, they get high enough, then they won't think about it. Or,
like there's this
like zombies and shit.
There's this one little girl, you know, she's young, early 20s, and when she was halfway right, you know, we was having a discussion with her, you know what I'm saying? We was asking her, you know, why are you homeless? Why are you in a situation like this? You 19, 20 years old, you know? And she went into this story where she told us that she got raped by her father, she got raped by her uncles, you know what I'm saying? So people like, and when every time I see her, my heart truly like really melts for her, because somebody like that, she never had a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you see her, like, they'll come and get her. Somebody comes and gets her. You know, you can tell she goes to these mental hospitals for a while. She's gone. Then she comes back. She's really, really heavy. So whatever medication they giving to her is making her bloated.
Okay, no.
And last time we saw her, I was like, yo, Dice, I'm like, that's old girl.
And I was like,
literally, within like 30 days, to a month, this girl probably lost about 85,
Yeah,
90
100 to
pounds.
100
Like,
pounds, like-
she went right back to her regular size, small. She went away again. Recently, we've seen her, and now she's blown back up. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? You know what I'm saying? So when we fight for mental health, and then I look at situations like this, it's like, yo, what are we fighting for?
What do you got to say about that? Are they doing that to people? You good?
Okay. I was like, I didn't hear myself. Well, one, for people like that, someone either in her family or she has to check herself in. Once you're 18, they can't just treat you. You have to go in and ask for help.
Yeah, well, it seems like somebody. It seems like maybe she gets in trouble, or maybe she's maybe she's doing something like crazy in the street, and then like they kind of grip her up and just throw her in the mental hospital, and it's kind of like they're going to give her like all the generic stuff because they don't want to spend money on her, so they're not really helping her.
I don't necessarily think it's just the generic drug. It's just there's not a rehabilitation process, kind of similar to when people go to jail. They just go in. You sit in there and then you get out. They're not rehabilitating or trying to ease you back into society.
So why are we calling it a mental hospital
they need more services.
if they're not actually trying to repair or you know what I'm saying, get you better mentally? Like
they got to do better on that end.
Well, we could sit here and talk about, because like there's always going to be like those bad apples or those people who don't do things appropriately. But in terms of, it takes a village to raise a family, like that saying. And the same thing with mental health. You know, people need support. So the more people become familiar and it becomes normal, then people can be supported by family members and friends to kind of get through these situations. I'm not a big advocate on everyone should just be medicated. However, when parents are not involved or friends or people don't have a support system, then you have hospitals who just can
step in and do whatever, and they're not looking at it as in a personal aspect. They're just looking at it as a number, as a person that they gotta deal with.
For this particular girl, what it seems like what they do, it seems like they just kind of come and take her, put her in a room and lock her in there and feed her, and then let her out when she's not acting crazy anymore. You know.
That probably is.
No, I mean that's what
happening.
That's what it seems like.
Would just think about like even in prison, like when people are in prison and they don't have people to come there to support them or visit them and things like that. A lot of things happen that goes under the radar. Just like when you have like I've been in many different like group homes from the East Coast, because I'm originally from New York, Rochester, New York, and so I've seen it from New York to LA.
And in Baltimore, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm by the way of Baltimore too. Shout out Baltimore. Yeah, so I lived there for some years. And one of the things that I noticed is that there's a lot of kids who like in the foster care system, and they heavily medicated. And a lot of it is just Band-Aid fixes, just so people can go to sleep because they're considered quote unquote bad and things like that.
Or they can sit through the school day and not get out their seat. My little brother is that way. He's adopted, and they gave him ADHD medicine at 7?
Yeah.
And it was just to sit his ass down all day.
And that's what I'm going to say, because they try to prescribe my son ADHD medication. Okay, here's the situation. My son has what you call as a speech delay. Okay, so when you talk to him, the signal kind of gets jumbled a little bit. So it takes him a minute to recess and put that shit all back together to figure out what it is exactly that you're talking about. So now if you speak really fast to him, he loses interest. You know what I'm saying? So when we first had him testing, they started telling us all this, that, and the other. And then he's like, oh, well, he needs this type of medication so he can relax in school. I'm like, well, that didn't make sense to me, because it's like, to me, I'm going to tell you like this. If you sit me, and I've said this before, if you sit me in the classroom and everybody in the classroom is speaking Mandarin and I don't understand what the fuck is going on, I'm going to fade out too.
You're going to shut down.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that situation is going down with my son, and then you want to just prescribe him medication. And we gave it to him for a little bit, and then I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not giving him this shit. Like, you know, me and my wife just, it was like, it doesn't make sense, because that's not his problem. He's a very calm kid. He's already calm. He's already relaxed. He's already chill. He doesn't do all, you know what I'm saying? He just needs to understand what the fuck you talking about. And he needs to know how to explain himself to say, hey, slow down so I can be with you. And if he's not doing that, then he's going to drift off. He's going to be like, yeah, I understood exactly what you said.
See, Trey, I'm glad you brought that up, though, because like that, you said so many things when you were talking about your son. One is that some people who work in the field are not culturally competent. So they don't even know, or they can't really identify with the client that they're dealing with. And the other thing too is that when your child, because in being involved in the child life. So when you go to school and they sitting there trying to label your kid, you be like, well, wait a minute, let me familiarize you with my child. These are the things that will get him riled up. These are the things that will calm him down.
Yeah.
And he don't get riled up. That's I'm telling you, like I call him the gentle giant because he's like almost 5'4". You know what I'm saying? He's a big kid, but he's so quiet, he's chill, he's reserved. You know what I'm saying? I call him the gentle giant. So he's not, and I get mad at him sometimes because I tell him, yo, bro, you need to be more aggressight. And he,
it's just not him. It's just not him. You know, it's what you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say too that, and that's why I'm in the field actually, just because for one to just add a different element to it so people can relate to it, because so many people have been labeled the wrong way because someone didn't understand them. That's just, and I'm not saying just if a person is Caucasian and they're working with someone African American, they can't effectively help. Sometimes people just don't understand who they're working with, and they haven't done their homework. So that makes it really an issue. And the problem is when you have a child who have no one to advocate for them, people just do anything to them.
Yeah. I was reading. It said there are more than 200 classified forms of mental illness. Some of the more common disorders are depression, bipolar disorder, dementia, schizophrenia, and anxiety disorders. Symptoms may include changes in mood, personality, personal habits, and/or social withdrawal. I know that you recently, you wrote in your blog on the state of mental health. Right. So, so I want you to kind of go into that, talking about the definition of mental illness, mental disorder symptoms, unusual behavior, and treatment options on how people could kind of take care of this.
So I'll go over. This is the Webster's definition of it. So diagnosis of clinical depression is the definition. Let's start over. The definition of mental illness is any broad range of medical conditions that includes major depression, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive disorder, and panic disorder. And it's usually marked primarily by sufficient disorganization of mind, emotions, personality, impairs your normal psychological functioning. So with all that being said, at any time, any of us can suffer from those things. The spectrum, it could be very light to, I like to wash my hands a lot because my hands are dirty, to, the extreme points where we've seen the past few weeks of the celebrities actually, killing themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the spectrum of it for
people, those celebrities and stuff killing themselves. Like, so do you think, obviously somebody should have seen something or got to them or noticed something about them. What's y'all take on that?
Well, Dice, that's a very great point in terms of like being able to like identify certain things. Like I'll mention a few simple things. People sleeping for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Those are like signs of some form of depression. People energy level very low. People not being able to focus too, not because they got ADHD, but just not being able to just be in tune with something like that. People in isolation, like some people who say, I just want to spend a whole bunch of time with myself, that can be a form, that's a sign too of depression. And that's the reason why they're getting rid of solitary confinement in prisons, because when you put people away from people and they're not able to be social for a long period of time, like people literally go crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of crazy because a lot of these celebrities, like she said, like a lot of these celebrities are killing themselves. So a lot of people think that money brings you happiness. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes when you have,
it covers the bills.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes when you have all that money and you're like this big star or celebrity, as people would say or look at as, in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, I done did everything I could basically do. Now I have nothing to do. Like now, then they start to go into like this depressed stage, and then it kind of brings them to basically, kill themselves. Why? You know what I'm saying?
I also think too, being rich is a form of maybe kind of like a minority too. And so people see you, think you have a perfect life. So you may not go get treatment or get help either because
You have that image,
That's
and
a stigma
people see
with
you.
that too.
Next thing you know, TMZ running down on you at
Right.
coming out of seeing your
So
therapist
you
or
could
whatever.
be suffering in silence just as well.
Yeah, and your only release is basically they think they got to kill themselves.
Yeah, just think about it. Like if you're dealing with some issues and you having like thoughts and you nervous or you afraid to talk to the people that are close to you because you think that they're going to pass judgment on you.
Yeah.
And so you hold that to yourself and you feel like no one out there in the world is going through what I'm going through. And so people allow themselves to be in isolated situations where that depression starts to rise and people take their life. There's other contributing factors that come with suicide, but that's one main one, that people aren't able to talk to other people. Like there's studies right now that show that even within high schools, when there's at least one teacher show that they care for a student's development, it shows the progress. And when people don't care, the dropout rate is affected in a negative way and people start to kill themselves.
I don't know, but do a lot of teachers, in schools, do they take a lot of like psychology classes in college to become a teacher? Because I'm thinking, if they did, then they could kind of pick up on some of these symptoms if they see kids, act in a certain type way, or if it looks like they're like in like a depressed state or have some type of mental illness.
Teachers nowadays, all you have to have is a college degree. You're specialized. You don't even have to specialize in education. None of that shit. So that's problem to me. That's part of the education problem, is that they not hiring the right people. They just hiring somebody because, okay, you completed college, so you can do the job. Like.
Yeah, like I definitely think, that should change. You know what I mean? As far as teachers go and stuff like that, I know it's hard to get teachers, but I think that should be one of the courses that they actually take, to kind of figure out these things. Like, because if not, then we're going to have, the whole world is going to be walking around, somebody could be crazy and nobody picks up on it.
And the other thing, too, I just wanted to clarify that being a school social worker or a psychologist is a different role than a teacher. Teachers go through training, but they're not equipped to deal with students with extreme mental health issues. Some might
Their
be
job is to report it.
So do you think they should at least have that type of training in college? At least take a course on that so that they could kind of pick up on it and then send them to the place where they need to actually go to talk to somebody.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues right now is it's been a lot of budget cuts within the school system too. So going to what Trey said, not hiring the right people because there's not enough social workers and psychologists in the schools to be able to help these kids.
And the people who are qualified, they're sitting up there like, okay, I want to get paid more for this, and they're like, well, we're not going to pay you, so we'll just bring in the next person.
I'm gonna tell you like this,
and maybe we can budget to pay someone.
Maybe we can share this light on somebody, because I'm tired of these motherfuckers talking about budget cuts when lottery money and taxes is supposed to go towards education in the States. In California, marijuana money, because they making billions of dollars off of taxes and marijuana in California and a bunch of these other states. So it pisses me off when they keep talking about budget cuts. Like, nigga, what fucking budget cuts? Why are we having budget cuts? Where's the money going?
Yeah, like
where's the money going?
Just like, hey, listen, man, like Michael Jackson said, the children are our future, bro. Like, I mean, we gotta.
Nobody gives a shit about that, man. They only care. They only care about classification is what it's all about.
Yeah,
now.
well,
Them are the children that they care about.
Yeah,
those are in the upper class. They don't give a shit about those that are in the lower class.
Okay, but I say that shit because it's like, like the children are our future, so therefore you got to pay these teachers to teach these kids, as they're growing up, and if you see any problems with them, then to help them out. Because, a lot of kids, a lot of kids are going to the schools and shooting people up. You know what I'm saying? These are kids, going in there. So obviously they have some type of fucking mental illness to make them be like, okay, I'm gonna get this AK, I'm gonna go into this fucking school and I'm gonna shoot it up, even though, somebody could have seen the signs.
And again, that's why a lot of people aren't educated, not having the right people in the right places.
I think some of that too falls. A lot of that falls back on
cyberbullying and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Because as a parent, you should know what's going on with your child.
I mean, but in all honesty, come on, you got to remember, we was all kids before, and your mama and daddy didn't know everything that was going on with you. At least my mom and dad didn't. They thought they did. They thought they did.
I tell you what,
but they didn't.
I tell you what.
They would cut in and be like, I don't know what you might specifically be doing.
Some of the things that might have kept me.
Nowhere.
Some of the things that might have kept me from doing some shit like that is, I know if I was to do some shit like that, I would come home and get my ass fucking whooped. You know what I mean? So the power of the belt, would keep a lot of people from motherfucking doing some dumb shit, because they know if they get caught doing that and they come back, it's like, all right, that's your ass.
I knew my parents would kill me.
Well, I'm telling
That's
you,
your ass.
well, we live in a society right now too. If you put your hands on kids, it's like Child Protective Services is
It's
actually
coming.
going, and they coming and they might snatch your kid up out of there.
Exactly, and kids know that, so therefore they're like, I can act any way I fucking want to, because if not, I'm telling on my mom, I'm telling on my dad.
Those kids, it's not mental health. Those
This
are
is
just
badass kids.
Yeah, those are just badass kids. That's nothing.
See,
those don't
listen,
nothing to do with mental health.
badass kids, I'm gonna tell you, I think are some of that shit stems from the mental shit that they're going through
In their environment.
in their environment, and a lot of that shit. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. I was a bad kid, a little bit. To a
No,
degree.
nigga, you said
Listen,
it right. You was a bad kid.
I was the bad angel. You understand what I'm saying? I know.
Fuck outta
No,
here.
seriously.
That's an
That's
oxymoron.
No,
That
that
don't
sound
even
like
go
Listen,
together.
But I'm gonna tell you
sound
this
like some
because I
bullshit.
knew how to put on that face to where I appeared to be the great kid. Like if I walked, like listen,
Bad
all my friends growing up, their parents thought I was great. You know what I'm saying?
You
They
was
thought
acting.
I was chill, and I was.
You was a good
I
actor.
did listen. I did have those morals underneath, but yet and still, I was that nigga instigating shit. I was that nigga starting shit. You know what I'm saying? That was
the
me.
bad
Yeah.
angel.
You were just working on your Hollywood
bad
skill
angel.
sets.
Ah.
So I got a question.
I was the Eddie Haskell. That's what I.
Like
Get the fuck outta
I
here.
see a lot of people like say kids are bad and things like that, and I don't believe that in many cases. I believe that people like kids are misunderstood. Kids have energy, and when they going in there, they just again it's just a misunderstanding. But people label them as bad. So then what happens psychologically when kids hear that? It's like it plays over in their mind. So they thinking like I'm bad. So,
No, I was generally bad. Listen, I'll share with you a story. Listen, when I think I must have been it was like preschool, kindergarten, somewhere like that.
You remember
there was
that
I
far
do.
back?
I remember this very vividly. There was a girl who sat next to me in class, and for whatever reason, like I wasn't getting abused at home. My home was great, but for whatever reason, I love to pinch the fuck out of this little girl. And I would make her cry almost every fucking day. Like I would just literally,
Horrible.
I'm talking about just pinch her all fucking day long. So I remember one day, she shot her hand up. And told her, I'm like, yo, I'm sorry. She like, nah, I done had enough of this
Like,
shit.
fuck that.
This
You done-
nigga keep pinching on me. And I went to a Christian school, so they whooped the motherfuckers. You know what I'm
Oh.
saying? So, but I remember, like, it was just shit like that inside of me. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? My
'Cause you
grandma
got a mental illness.
My grandma and them used to think I was possessed. They told my mom we need to take him to a priest because this boy's possessed, like for real.
You had a mental illness, motherfucker.
You know, and I used to have night terrors as a kid. I used to have
was
night terrors.
traumatized.
and weed
You know what I'm
helped.
saying?
And weed helped it out, motherfucker. Like that shit
I
calmed
don't
your
know.
ass
You know what I'm
down.
saying? So, like I said, for me, it was just always shit inside of me. I just wanted to do bad shit sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I would fuck with people for no apparent fucking reason at all.
Okay, but that's a good point though, right? Because again, there's many people who probably acted out just like you. And when you don't see someone who might be educated or equipped to be able to help you, what happens is that bad, like when you were bad as a kid, you become an adult with those same habits, if not worse.
See, here's the
And
thing.
then it
I
develops
don't have
into
those.
it.
I don't have none of those habits anymore. You know what helped me? The belt. You know what I'm saying? They listen.
Whip
I
that shit
listen.
up
I
out,
tell
mint that
motherfuckers.
shit out of your
There
ass.
was. It
People
just
with
seemed
mental
like as a
illness,
kid.
a belt is not gonna help.
As a kid,
Going
it would
back
just
to
feel
that,
like
it's not.
sometimes my day just wasn't complete until I got the belt. I'd be getting ready to go to bed. Be like, you know what? I ain't had the belt today. I got to do something to fuck this shit up.
I just want to put this out there too, because I think so people don't separate like, oh, there's people out there who deal with mental illness and not me. Every person on this face of this earth at some point in time deal with some form of mental illness. Because if you're depressed, if you're stressed out at times, like stress isn't always a bad thing, but when you depressed at some point in time, like I said, you go through different phases of life. You go through that's a mental health issue. And I just want to just put that out there for anyone who may be listening, that it's okay. You know, it's okay to go see someone. You could just, it's not about like being embarrassed, whatever. It might be uneasy or uncomfortable, but I just encourage you to just be able to go talk to someone to get whatever you have inside of you to flush it out so you can live the life that you desire. Because some people, they're not happy right now. Like you brought it up before. Money can buy you a sailboat to sail close enough to happiness, but it won't get you there though.
Yeah, exactly. So with you saying all that, what are some of like the treatment options that's out there for some people?
I can give some of the options that were given to me when I was struggling with anxiety. Group therapy.
Weed.
No, not weed. You know,
Smoke. That's all you got to
that's
do.
a total. I do think weed has benefits. Yes, it does have medicinal benefits too. But for that, I'm not going to say that. But group therapy, there's artistic therapy where you paint, you do creative things. For me, I had to take it to the next level and, take a prescription. I think that's based on the individual, and it may not work for someone. It did work for me.
What are some of the treatment options that that you could suggest to some people?
I feel like, depending on where they at in their life, like if it's a student, the first thing I would just encourage them to just mention it to like maybe a teacher or someone that they have a close relationship with, because just about every school should have a school social worker or a psychologist, and I think that would be a good start. And because before you can talk about medication and different options, you want to see where a person stands. So I believe that's the first thing for those who might not be in school, like adults and things of that nature. There's clinics out there too that you could just walk in without an appointment, and you could just talk to someone and express your interest that you looking to get help, or you want to talk to someone because you've been having X amount of thoughts.
My first thing is, your first step is go to your local dispensary. Get you some indica. I'm telling you. Listen,
I do not support that.
Listen, I'm going to tell you like this. Smoking marijuana got me through a whole hell of a lot. Because like I tell you, there was times I can say I was depressed and I went through some shit, but smoking weed, I'm telling you, it really helps. People laugh at me, but I'm going to tell you like this.
It do help,
Listen, I smoke weed on a daily basis. And that's probably my medication that, some people go out and take. Like, seriously, because smoking marijuana, it keeps me, it keeps me in sync. I remember one time, I got in trouble years ago, and they put me on probation, so they told me I couldn't smoke.
Oh,
and right. I remember the first day I actually tried to quit. Nigga, I went to work. I'm snapping on everybody. Like, it was like 24 hours in. Then my homegirl came and was like, nigga, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, I don't know.
Nigga, your mental illness came back.
I just don't like nobody right now.
Your motherfucking mental illness came back.
My mental illness kicked in because I didn't have my medication. It does. It really does. It keeps me balanced. Like, listen, 90% of the time, if you see me anytime, I'm probably high. You know what I'm saying? Or what people consider to be as high. Because, I tell people all the time.
He's my son's barber, so I don't know about
I tell people,
in that chair next.
Just make sure he smokes
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been disappointed? Your son always leaves with a fresh cut, right?
Yeah, he looks good.
What you don't want is me to cut him and I ain't smoking, because now I'm thinking about smoking, so I'm going to...
That's why that nigga go have a cigarette before every fucking haircut.
You have a patch right there. I got to get to this one. I'm sorry.
Weed and cigarettes helps out his fucking mental disorder.
Well, again, I'm not going to endorse that, but
not at all.
Right, but there are like some studies that show that there are great benefits to some forms of marijuana and things like that too. But the THC is actually like frying some people. Like it's messing with people mentally too.
Some people put too much.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Listen. The weed suggestion is not for people with serious mental issues. It's just for your daily, you know what I'm saying? If you slightly stressed, before that stress level reaches up here, smoke a little weed and bring it back down.
Oh my God.
So you asked me too, just based off of what he just said, smoking weed, right? Because one thing I want to emphasize is self-care, and I don't think we talk about it enough. And self-care can be anything from like taking a walk, exercising, working out, whatever it is that you like to do to kind of really calms you down or whatever. Like when people, and so, and that is a remedy too for when people dealing with depression, anxiety, and things of that nature too. So
I think self-care, just as you were saying, self-care, you can stop things from getting that far with the daily things of self-care. Taking a day to yourself every week.
Yeah. What are some of the symptoms that that some people should kind of look out for? Because I have a list here, so I just want to kind of hear what you guys think about some of the symptoms. So because what I have is, it says in adults, young adults, and adolescents, it says confused thinking, prolonged depression, sadness, and irritable. Shit, whatever.
we get the point.
Yeah, feelings of extreme highs and lows, excessive fears, worries, and anxieties, social withdrawal, dramatic changes in eating and sleeping habits, like you said earlier,
lack
like
of
sleeping.
Empathy, empathy for others.
Strong feelings of anger. This motherfucker right here.
Really?
Not Mr. Marijuana Man.
Listen, you've been in our shop. Who gets mad more, me or this guy?
Whoa, you might have a point.
Yeah, those are the symptoms that people exhibit. And if you're around someone and you see someone doing that, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're struggling with a major depression or a major mental illness.
Do you think you
but
need
you
to see
should
a
address
therapist?
it if you see someone struggling.
Okay.
You absolutely
You don't think you need to see anybody?
Y'all niggas be
Okay.
fucking with me. yo.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
listen,
Hey.
listen, you got a lot of shit that you've gone through in your life.
I got a lot of shit I went through
Exactly.
in my life, nigga.
And you need to talk
I
to somebody
I
about
balanced
that.
shit out,
Okay.
man. I don't
Okay,
have
well,
a problem with
And,
Well, let
and
me-
he probably could go and talk to
That,
someone
he,
about
listen,
that. And it
I
wouldn't-
will
it
agree.
wouldn't hurt.
He definitely needs to talk to somebody.
And no one would know about it, but you and the person that you're talking with, so you can get it off your chest.
So this is what I'm gonna say is a fact, right? I know both of you actually do some form of counseling because when people sit in your chair, they want to talk to you. You
All
listen
day.
to them and things like that. That helps people get through their day. You know, people look forward to when they talk to you just to be able to dump whatever they dealing with, like for that day or for that week. So you've been counseling people.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
So you
And
you
me
an
personally-
ambassador of mental health, whether you want to acknowledge it or not.
And me personally, like I love my psychology classes in college, dog. So like it kind of like benefits into what I'm actually doing and shit as being a barber. You know what I mean? Because we are like psychiatry.
You see, hold on. You see what I'm saying? You give a nigga a
I feel
inch,
like he's
and a nigga take a mile.
no, I'm
He
being serious.
kindly-
You definitely
listen,
deflected because it was about you, and you did good at deflecting and back off of you.
kindly
Exactly.
suggested that we are, we are counselors.
But I
And
say
then
that all the
this
time.
nigga
But I
goes
say it
and
all the
says,
time, though.
I took psychology classes in college, and
That
it
was
helps
one of my favorite
me in what
classes,
I
bro.
do today.
It
What
does.
kind of shit is that,
Nigga, whatever. You
are
took-
not-
you
you're
did
not
the shit too.
Listen. I took it, but I'm talking. I refer to shit to myself.
Listen, man,
I
we
didn't
do-
say that shit
To help
has anything
others.
to do with me being a goddamn barber.
Man, but listen, what he said was,
This nigga's
like
crazy.
it helped, like we help people out on a daily, dog.
Absolutely.
Like, know what I mean, like every
do.
fucking
But you have
day.
to help yourself first.
But I'm gonna tell you the energy of our shop helps people out on a daily basis because I had somebody tell me the other day. He said, "Man, he said I really love coming into y'all shop." He said, "Rather y'all know it or not." He said, "People could come in, they can be having a bad day. You know what I'm saying? You never can know what's going on. But he said, every time I leave your shop, man, he said I feel good. I'm laughing. I feel fresh." He said, It's an amazing place to be. So shout out to In the Cut and our crew for doing our mental health.
Ding, 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 ding. Tell them to get behind door number 3. But actually, that's a great point, though, because, again, people look for, that's a form of self-care, in more than one way. People get their hair cut, and they look forward to having conversations.
Yeah, like sometimes you'll sit down with your barber, and besides the ambiance of the shop, you know what I mean. If you got a serious conversation to have with your barber, like you will have that conversation with him, and hopefully he leaves out of the shop feeling a little bit better.
And I got to give a shout out to Money Mitch, Mitch from In the Cut Barbershop, because actually it was the conversation that he and I had. That's how I was able to come on this podcast, because he was just talking about, like, won't you talk about mental health issue, because it's a lot of things going on out there. And I was like, you know what? That is a great point, because a lot of people just unfamiliar with it. And I know we laughing and we joking and things like that, but anybody who listening, that there's help out there. And I know you big Jay-Z fans. Jay-Z has a therapist too, if it helps you or encourage you to go see
Jigga.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because it's just time to wrap it up. So I did want to say, I appreciate y'all coming through. You know what I'm saying, dropping y'all knowledge.
Real quick. You know what I mean? I have a hotline number. So if anybody out there, if you feel like you need some type of help, or you need some type of crisis now, whatever, the phone number is 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. It's a 24-hour crisis number. To close it out, I just want to hear what both of you guys have to say about this issue. To kind of take us out, and you talking to the people, so kind of educate them on whatever you want to say.
Oh, ladies first. Thank you. I guess I would want to say my first thing is for others, because sometimes everyone is just fine, but we need to be more conscious of the people around us. I feel like in life, everyone's focused on self and what they have going on. So we're lacking community now. And so, okay.
Get it together, come on.
Get together with that smoke. So we're lacking community. And so we need to, we are our brothers and sisters keepers. So if you see someone struggling, you need to reach out to them. Like, period. No questions.
What I would say to it too, just to kind of wrap it up on my end, is that for anyone who needs someone to talk to and I know it might be a negative, as I said before, like a stigma about mental health therapy, I would just say just be open-minded to it, because if you've been doing it your way and it hasn't been getting you to the places that you want it to be, I would just say be open to talking to someone else who can help walk you through that situation. And if you meet someone and you don't feel like you relate to that person, you can always find someone else that you could relate to be able to help you get through these problems. Because I'm in the field right now because I don't want to see the youth, especially like the young youth, to end up in jail, prison, get their life thrown away because they dealing with a lot of issues that has been ignored because people haven't been educated about it. And I want people to see that you can go to therapy and have your therapist can have swag and all that type of stuff. It don't make you less than. It actually make you more of a man, woman, or whatever you identify with, because you learning to be more comfortable in your skin. So I encourage you to reach out to someone and not try to walk this path alone, because no one makes it in life by themselves. And people who say they self-made, they got someone helping them behind the curtains.
Yeah, believe that. There's somebody there for everybody. What I want you to do is I want you to tell people how they can get a hold of you, just in case if they want to talk about something, to kind of wrap it up. And then coming to you, I want you to, tell them the same thing, and then you could give a shout out to what you have going on as far as your blog and stuff like that. So we'll start off with you, Lawrence.
All right, so if you want to get in contact with me right now, my website will be up in the next couple weeks, but you can email me at levelupwithlawrence@gmail.com.
Say it one more
That's
time.
levelupwithlawrence@gmail.com, and it's spelled how it sounds: LEVELWITHLAWRENCE@gmail.com.
You know, my name is Lawrence too. Did you know that?
Oh no, but that's why.
But mine is with a U.
But mine's a W. Win. And it's
Lawrence.
Love it.
So what about Rachelle?
And if anyone wants to reach out or read my blog, I have other blog topics too. I just did a great one on finances. You can go to www.royalrhys.com, and from there you can email me. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, and then you can also shop too.
Hey, Dice, I forgot to add the UP, man. So it's Level Up with Lawrence at Gmail.
Level Up with Lawrence.
Thank you.
There it is, man. And
so I do want to thank y'all both for coming through.
Yes, yes.
Actually, despite I didn't really want to come in here and talk about it, this has been a great discussion.
And I
you know what I'm saying? They haven't,
I said sometimes. I said sometimes you got to get a little serious because we got to let people know what the hell is going on out here. Motherfuckers is acting up. Man.
You really do. You really do. And that's part of our podcast. We like to inform because the barbershop. That's what we do. We talk about everything. So. Thank you again for coming through. This has been another episode of Barbershop Talk Like This. I'm out. This is your host, Trey the Barber.
And it's your boy, Dicethebarber.
And we see you on the next episode.
Peace.